Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're uncorking the latest results from Varun Beverages Limited, better known as VBL.
That's right. VBL is a major player in the beverage industry and notably, they are one of the largest franchisees of PepsiCo outside the US. They produce and distribute a wide range of PepsiCo's drinks, from Pepsi and Mountain Dew to Tropicana juices and Aquafina water, across many territories in India and internationally, including parts of Africa like South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Morocco, and also Nepal and Sri Lanka.
Quite the footprint. So they've released their unaudited financial results for the first quarter ended March 31st, 2025. These were approved by their board on April 30th, 2025. It's also worth noting, VBL follows a January to December financial year. We have both standalone and consolidated results here. Let's dive into the consolidated picture first. How did they fare in Q1?
Starting with the consolidated numbers for Q1 2025, the net revenue from operations, that's revenue after excise and GST, came in strong at approximately 5,567 crore rupees. Comparing that year-over-year to Q1 2024's 4,317 crore rupees, that's a solid jump of about 29%.
A 29% year-over-year growth in net revenue is quite significant. How does that look compared to the immediately preceding quarter, Q4 of 2024?
Quarter over quarter, the growth is even more pronounced, though we absolutely need to factor in the seasonality of the beverage business. Q1 marks the beginning of the peak season in India, while Q4 is typically leaner. Net revenue in Q1 2025 was up about 46% compared to the 3,818 crore rupees reported in Q4 2024. So strong sequential growth but primarily driven by seasonality kicking in.
Understood. Seasonality is key here. What about profitability? How did EBITDA perform?
Consolidated EBITDA for Q1 2025 stood at roughly 1,264 crore rupees. Year over year, that's up about 28% from the 989 crore rupees in Q1 2024. So, EBITDA growth is pretty much in line with the revenue growth year over year.
And quarter over quarter for EBITDA?
Sequentially, EBITDA saw a huge jump. It was about 625 crore rupees in Q4 2024, so the Q1 figure of 1,264 crore rupees is more than double. Again, largely reflecting the seasonal upswing into the busier quarter.
Okay, let's look further down the line. Profit before tax or PBT?
Consolidated profit before tax, after accounting for the share of loss from associates and joint ventures, was approximately 978 crore rupees in Q1 2025. Year over year, that's a healthy increase of about 37% from 716 crore rupees in Q1 2024.
And the quarter over quarter PBT comparison?
Sequentially, PBT surged from about 254 crore rupees in Q4 2024 to 978 crore rupees in Q1 2025. That's up nearly 285%, again highlighting that seasonal effect.
Got it. So what does this translate to in terms of profit after tax or PAT attributable to the owners of the company?
Consolidated PAT attributable to owners for Q1 2025 was around 727 crore rupees. This is a strong 35% increase year over year from 537 crore rupees in Q1 2024.
How does PAT look sequentially from Q4 2024?
Quarter over quarter, PAT jumped significantly from about 185 crore rupees in Q4 2024 to 727 crore rupees this quarter. That's a rise of nearly 292%, consistent with the PBT trend.
And how does all this translate to earnings per share or EPS?
The basic EPS for Q1 2025 on a consolidated basis was 2.15 rupees. Year over year, that's up from 1.65 rupees in Q1 2024.
And the quarter over quarter EPS?
Sequentially, EPS increased substantially from 0.56 rupees in Q4 2024 to 2.15 rupees in Q1 2025.
Did other income play a significant role this quarter?
Consolidated other income was about 28 crore rupees in Q1 2025. Year over year, that's a big jump from just over 8 crore rupees in Q1 2024. Sequentially, it's down from about 45 crore rupees in Q4 2024. So quite variable, but not the main driver compared to the operational figures.
Okay, that covers the consolidated picture. Now let's switch to the standalone results for VBL, which primarily reflect the India operations. How did the revenue look there?
On a standalone basis, revenue from operations for Q1 2025 was about 4,053 crore rupees. That's up approximately 18% year-over-year compared to 3,446 crore rupees in Q1 2024.
And the sequential comparison for standalone revenue?
Quarter-over-quarter, standalone revenue more than doubled, jumping about 101% from 2,014 crore rupees in Q4 2024, again driven by seasonality.
What about standalone PBT and PAT?
Standalone profit before tax for Q1 2025 was around 897 crore rupees, a strong 42% increase year-over-year from 630 crore rupees. Standalone profit after tax was about 678 crore rupees, up 44% year-over-year from 469 crore rupees.
And the sequential PBT and PAT for standalone?
Sequentially, standalone PBT was up about 247% from 259 crore rupees in Q4 2024. Standalone PAT was up roughly 225% from 209 crore rupees in Q4 2024.
Finally, standalone EPS?
Standalone basic EPS for Q1 2025 was 2.01 rupees, up from 1.44 rupees year-over-year. Sequentially, it increased from 0.63 rupees in Q4 2024.
Thanks for breaking down both sets of numbers. Let's talk profitability margins. How did the consolidated EBIT, DA, and PAT margins look?
The consolidated EBITDA margin for Q1 2025 was around 22.7%. That's slightly down, about 20 basis points, compared to Q1 2024's 22.9%. The management commentary attributes this slight dip primarily to the consolidation of the South African business, which currently has a lower profitability profile and a higher mix of CSDs, carbonated soft drinks, in India this quarter. The consolidated PAT margin, however, improved slightly year-over-year.
Interesting. How does that compare to the standalone India margins?
The commentary suggests that EBITDA margins in India actually improved year-over-year by about 111 basis points, thanks to operational efficiencies and robust volume growth. This implies the standalone business saw better margin performance than the consolidated picture, reinforcing the impact of integrating the lower-margin South African operations.
Were there any exceptional items impacting the results this quarter, either standalone or consolidated?
No, there were no exceptional items reported in either the standalone or consolidated results for Q1 2025. This generally means the results offer a clearer view of the underlying operational performance.
What about the balance sheet? Any major changes in equity or debt?
The detailed balance sheet isn't fully presented here, but we know the paid-up equity share capital increased slightly due to share issuance, standing at about 676 crore rupees as of March 31, 2025. Key events impacting equity include the share subdivision, split, from a face value of 5 rupees to 2 rupees that happened in September 2024, and a significant qualified institutional placement, or QIP, in the previous year which raised 7,500 crore rupees. The company notes, this QIP amount has been fully utilized for its stated objectives by March 2025. This QIP likely helped reduce debt, especially in India, contributing to lower finance costs.
Any insights on cash flows or dividends?
Again, no detailed cash flow statement is provided in this quarterly release. However, the company did declare an interim dividend for the financial year 2025 of 50 paisa per equity share, that's 0.50 rupees per share, on a face value of 2 rupees. The record date for this was set as May 7, 2025, with payments starting from May 9, 2025. They also mentioned that the final dividend for the financial year 2024, also 50 paisa per share, was approved at the AGM on April 3, 2025 and subsequently paid out in April. So regular dividend payouts seem to be continuing.
Let's talk about segment performance. The financials don't break it down by geography, but the press release and presentation usually give some color. What drove the consolidated volume growth?
Right. The commentary highlights that consolidated sales volume grew by a strong 30.1% year-over-year in Q1 2025. This was driven by two main factors. First, a healthy organic volume growth of 15.5% in India, and second, the inorganic contribution from the newly acquired territories in South Africa and the DRC.
How did realization per case and the product mix look?
Net realization per case at the consolidated level saw a slight decline of 0.9%. This was because realization in India actually increased by 1.8%, but this was offset by lower realization in the international markets, particularly South Africa, which has a higher mix of own brands with lower pricing. In terms of product mix for Q1 2025, CSDs constituted 75% of volumes, non-carbonated beverages, NCBs, were 7%, and packaged drinking water was 18%. They also noted an increasing trend in low sugar and no sugar products, reaching about 59% of consolidated volumes.
So, summarizing the performance, strong top-line growth driven by both India and new territories, but margins slightly pressured at the consolidated level due to the mix effects from South Africa?
Exactly. Year-over-year growth is robust across revenue and profits, both standalone and consolidated. The key story is the strong organic growth in India, combined with the integration of the South African market, which adds volume but dilutes margins currently. Management seems focused on improving efficiencies and scaling the PepsiCo portfolio in South Africa to lift margins there over time. The significant reduction in finance costs, especially in India post the QIP, also helped boost profitability. Depreciation increased quite a bit, mainly due to the commissioning of new plants last year and the consolidation of South Africa and DRC.
The report and press release mention several significant events. Can you walk us through the key ones?
Sure. Firstly, VBL started commercial production at 2 new greenfield plants in India during Q1 2025, one in Kangra, Himachal Pradesh, and another in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. This significantly enhances their capacity ahead of the peak season. Secondly, they've established backward integration facilities at Prayagraj and in the DRC to improve supply chain efficiency. Thirdly, building on their new snack segment presence, they started distributing and selling PepsiCo's snack products in Zimbabwe and Zambia from February 1, 2025. Fourth, they invested further in their South African subsidiary Bevco, increasing their holding. Fifth, an agreement to acquire businesses in Tanzania and Ghana was terminated due to non-fulfillment of conditions. And finally, as mentioned, the QIP funds were fully utilized, and CRISIL upgraded their long-term bank loan facility rating to CRISIL AAA/stable, which is a top-tier rating.
That's a lot of activity. Now, a crucial part, the auditor's report. Were there any qualifications or concerns raised by the joint auditors JC Bhalla & Co. and OP Bagla & Company LLP?
I reviewed both the standalone and consolidated independent auditors' review reports. The good news is that both reports provide an unmodified conclusion. This means the auditors did not find any material misstatements that would require qualification or an adverse opinion.
So, essentially clean reports for both standalone and consolidated?
The consolidated report does mention, as is standard practice, that the auditors relied on the work of other auditors for 14 subsidiaries and 1 joint venture, specifically mentioning OP Bagla & Company reviewed 1 subsidiary and the JV. It also notes that the financial information for 2 associate companies was not reviewed by auditors, but these were considered immaterial to the overall consolidated results based on quantitative thresholds. These points are procedural acknowledgements of the audit process for a large group and do not constitute qualifications on the results themselves.
That's reassuring. So, based on these results and the management commentary, what's the outlook for VBL?
Disclaimer. As always, we advise investors to consult with certified financial experts before making any investment decisions. The outlook appears positive, driven by strong volume growth momentum in India and the expansion into new African territories and the snacks category. Management sees significant headroom for growth in India's beverage market due to factors like rising incomes and improving infrastructure. The integration of the South African market is a key focus, aiming to improve realizations and margins there. New capacities are online, and more are planned. Potential risks include the successful integration of acquired businesses, managing costs, competitive pressures, and the inherent seasonality of the beverage industry. Dependency on the franchise agreement with PepsiCo is also a factor.
Great summary. So, wrapping up our discussion on Varun Beverages Q1 2025 results, strong year-over-year growth in revenue and profits, boosted by organic Indian growth and inorganic contributions from Africa. Margins were slightly diluted at the consolidated level due to the South African integration, but improved in the standalone India business. Key strategic moves include new plant commissionings, entry into the snacks business in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and strengthening the balance sheet via QIP. Importantly, the auditors issued clean, unmodified reports on both standalone and consolidated results.
Precisely. VBL seems to be executing well on its growth strategy, expanding its geographical and product footprint while maintaining financial discipline, as evidenced by the recent credit rating upgrade. The focus will likely be on continuing the growth trajectory and improving profitability in the newly integrated markets.
Excellent analysis. Thanks for breaking that all down for us and our listeners.
My pleasure.
That's all for today's episode. Join us next time for more financial insights.